When I was just 5 years old, my family and I moved from our home in Jakarta, Indonesia, to Colorado. And I just remember this time as a swarm of different hospital visits and a lot of adults coming into my home and saying this A word. Now, being 5 years old, I had no idea what this A word could possibly mean, until one day my parents sat me down with tears in their eyes and they said, "Madison, your younger brother Braden has autism." Now, the only thing that I could think to say in response to this, being the age that I was, "That's not the A word, is it?" And the A word it was. And little did we know that this one little word, autism, would change the course of my family's life forever. Hi, my name is Madison. I'm just like you guys. I go to an international school in Bangkok, and I'm signed up for way too many activities, and I stretch myself way too thin, but here we are. Today, I want to talk to you about my family's story. I'm a filmmaker, so I tend to think in stages of production, and I want to take you through our story, the 3 stages, from pre to post-production. So, let's jump into it, shall we? Pre-production and a character list. Today you're going to meet my father, Michael, my mother, Lori, me serving as teen angst, Madison, and the star of our show today, my younger brother, Braden. Now, our film's going to take us all over the world in the different places that my family has lived. From Indonesia to Colorado to China, and now most recently, Bangkok, Thailand. So, let's get into it. With plot point 1. Our story today opens in Colorado. Right after we had received the diagnosis that Braden had autism, and it was my family's turn to try and figure out how we were going to best support him. So I like to call plot point 1 confusion. Now, as an older sibling to Braden, I had a couple of questions that I needed to get answered. The first, what is autism? The second, is Braden still my little buddy? We were just 5 and 3 years old at the time. And so it was important to me to know that my playmate and my best friend was still going to be there for me. Which moves us to the rising action of my family's story. Education. This is when we learned exactly how we were going to help Braden have the best life that he possibly could. So, the answers to 2 questions I posed previously in order are, it's complicated, and of course. So, what is autism? Now, there's a lot that goes into it, and it took many, many years for my family to really grasp its definition. But I'm going to try and break it down for you the best I can. Autism is a spectrum disorder, ranging from severe to high functioning. Now, kids on the high functioning side of the autistic spectrum are classified typically by difficulty with social interaction. So this might mean that they have a hard time looking at you in the eye when they're talking, or they only want to talk about dinosaurs or trains or planes and really nothing else. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is severe autism, where my younger brother Braden falls. People with severe autism typically have poor communication skills, difficulty with fine motor skills, so something like writing with a pencil is really difficult, and sometimes they just have a lower cognitive level. So another thing that I learned about autism, because of its spectrum nature, is that when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. It's very difficult to classify, as every case is so different. But I can give you a few characteristics to help you better understand. One common characteristic is difficulties with social interaction. Like I was stating before, maybe a person you're talking to doesn't really mirror the same emotions that you're presenting to them. Another common characteristic is a repetitive movement. For my brother, that's moving his fingers like this, so you can kind of figure out where his body is in space. And third, one that I really want to stress to you today is a heightened sensory system. So maybe some of you are thinking, what the heck's a sensory system? So let's get into that. A sensory system that is heightened means that you have an extreme sensitivity to different sources of input. So I want everyone now to look up at the auditorium lights. They're pretty bright, right? But most of us are able to kind of filter out that input so that you can hopefully continue listening to me and I can continue presenting to you. But for someone like Braden, a bright light like that is incredibly distracting because it could even be like a disco ball to him. So imagine trying to do any given task when you've got a disco ball right in front of your own eyes. So when one or all of these different aspects of a sensory system are violated, a meltdown ensues. So when a person with autism goes through a meltdown, that can mean they're kicking, screaming, yelling, a variety of different behaviors that are really difficult to watch. So this definitely caused us a little bit of trouble growing up. I'll get into that later. but that second question that I wanted to get answered. Is he still my little buddy? And the answer was, yeah, of course. Brayden and I have always had a really close relationship. And I would say that while it's simple, we don't really fight about things like who gets to stay out later on Friday night. But Brayden's always been my #1 supporter, my biggest fan, and he will always be my little buddy no matter what. So now we move to the climax of my family story. And for us, that was pure and unadulterated frustration. Now, the frustration came when outside people would witness Brayden occurring when he was having a meltdown. So when he felt overwhelmed by a situation, and people would react negatively. Because, as many of you guys know, people fear what they don't understand. And they didn't understand that Brayden had autism, and he was only reacting the way that he did because he couldn't handle the situation at hand. This resulted in people telling my own mother and father that they were bad parents, or giving us the kind of looks that made us feel ashamed. As a result of negative reactions, we've been kicked out of the following places: a water park, multiple restaurants, a bowling alley, and even a children's library. And it was all because people thought that this little guy, my brother Brayden, was acting out of malice and spite, when in fact it was just too overwhelming or too loud for him to handle at the time, and so he acted out. But I think out of all these things that caused frustration for my family in this more difficult time in our life, the thing that hurt us the most was hearing this word, and hearing it used in the wrong context. I would hear my friends going around saying things like, "Oh, he's such a retard," or "This situation was so retarded." And I just couldn't help but think about Brayden, and that's dumb. So it was all these factors and more that led me to create this video called My Brother. I created it in the 6th grade when my family and I lived in China. And it was my attempt to sort of explain Brayden to the world so that maybe they could understand why he was reacting negatively when a situation was too much to handle. So I'd like to present you this today. Bear in mind that I was in the 6th grade, 11 years old, so my voice is a little bit high.
My brother and I don't have your average brother and sister relationship. In fact, we really don't fight very often. There is one main reason why our relationship is different. My brother Brayden has autism. What is autism? Autism is a neurological disorder affecting a person's social and cognitive abilities.
Are you silly?
This means my brother has trouble learning, so he doesn't go to an international school like many of us. He goes to a school for kids with special needs.
You know, it keeps flowing.
My brother Brayden loves the company of people. However, sometimes he doesn't know what to do around them or what to talk about.
Choke on your dust, for you're the light and the last.
This may sound like he is incapable of doing anything, but really he's one of the most talented people I know. He is able to entertain himself for hours on end. And bouncing a basketball? No problem.
Colors like when you ride.
He has incredible balance. Many people automatically see Brayden for his differences, but I like to see Brayden for the things he has in common with kids his age. Some of his favorite things include swinging at the park, going down the slide backwards, climbing up the slide in the wrong direction, jumping on a trampoline, sometimes he enjoys a nice casual stroll down a thin rail. Followed by the dismount. He even enjoys a nice grocery shopping trip. My brother Braden is another boy in this world. And although he may be a little bit different, he's just going through the ups as well as the downs of your average life. He's just another boy trying to be accepted for who he is.
So, that was the first film that I ever made, and it really showed me the power of filmmaking as an art to convey messages to people who are unheard. And I'll talk about how that shaped my future in just a minute. But now we've reached the falling action of the production of our film today. And for my family, that was when we decided to take this difficult situation that we had been presented and see how we could help other people facing a similar situation. This is when my family turned to advocacy. For my mother, this meant presenting around the world and working to get inclusion at every international school. For my father, this also meant presenting around the world, and it meant starting the first podcast to be exclusively about autism. For me, it was to continue filmmaking. I found that with Braden's film, I could express Braden's stories in a way that having a conversation with someone just really couldn't. So I figured, why not try and give voice to other people who are unheard? I was given these opportunities to travel around China and document stories of different charities of people suffering with physical or mental illness. And ever since then, I've kind of been hooked. But this all culminated for me in my junior year, when my uncle gave me another opportunity to present the story of autism. He authored a script about a boy who's separated from his expatriate family on a busy Shanghai subway. So today I'm going to show you a 3-minute version of the originally 15-minute film. Now, after listening to the different characteristics of someone with autism, I want to see how much you can spot by the main character, Perrin, to indicate that he has autism.
3 more stops, then we transfer to the purple line. Oh wait, there are 2 purple lines. Light purple?
Mom, Dad, where's Perrin?
Perrin?
Perrin! Perrin!
Someone stop him! That's my son! Open the door! He needs help! He's autistic!
过来，快坐下。你正在顺着宇宙的心跳，你会感到这里，感觉到降血压、减压力。全世界都发疯的时候，你一起发疯。那就没有问题了。
We've only been here a month and Perrin has no idea where anything is. Just a minute, I'll call you back.
Next year, I have the opportunity to attend University of Southern California's film school, and I'm so excited to find out all the new ways that I can use film to try and be an advocate for those in need. But ladies and gentlemen, we've reached post-production, and I believe that the most important part of post-production is distribution. So here's the distribution of my main message. Here's all the things that I've learned throughout this entire process, and I challenge you to see how you can apply these lessons in your own lives. The first thing that I've learned is you just don't use the word retard in the wrong context. It's a derogatory term used to classify people on the lower end of the IQ scale. Now, every time people say that word, people like Braden are being referenced to in a derogatory sense. And imagine being on that lower end of the IQ scale and being unable to voice the frustration that you must feel when you hear a word like that used. I never use the word retard, and I challenge you all to take that out of your own vocabularies. The second thing that I've learned is that different is okay. Braden is not your typical kid. He moves his hands kind of funny. He uses different speech patterns that most of us can't recognize. And what I've learned throughout living with him is just, that's completely fine. Not everyone has to be in this cookie cutter formation. We are all so different. I'm sure that many of you have had kids in your own classes who maybe interrupt the teacher when they're not supposed to, or maybe they have to stand up every 15 minutes to take a break. See that as different, but see that as okay. Don't see that as something that you need to change or ridicule. The third thing that I've learned is the importance of being a leader. For me, living with Braden, it was natural for me to step up when I saw that kid who was interrupting the teacher or who only wanted to talk about volcanoes and tell people not to ridicule them. But this is my call to action to you. Be a leader in your classrooms. We're all in high school, right? We're all really impressionable and our opinions are malleable. And it's important that we look to different people in our classrooms to say, we're going to embrace this kid. Do what you can to be a leader in your classrooms. It's the coolest things that I learned throughout this entire process of living with Braden is that it's a mindset. For me, the A word is autism, but maybe for you, the A word is gay rights, or it's helping people in poverty. Whatever it is, allowing acceptance and equality into your own life as a mindset improves everyone's lives. Thank you so much.